Okay, welcome to episode 3 of the Cookie Catch Up. We're actually going to do things a little bit different this month. So I originally wanted to start this as like a bit of a monthly recap, I guess, of what's been happening in the business. But honestly, this month has been pretty uneventful. He's like, I'm not consenting to being in a video today. I thought I would actually share why I started the business, how I got the idea, and yeah, just a little bit about the beginning of Montanna's. So I do have a choc chip sweet treat and I have a vanilla latte, which I made all by myself, like a big girl that I am. Normally my fiance makes them for me, but I did it all by myself today, so actually not bad. Before I start, I actually did put a question box up originally and yeah, offered people to ask me questions, but I'm not going to answer them on here. I'm actually just going to use them for content and answer them on my social media. So we're just going to get straight into it. To tell you the story of how we got to here, I think we need to go right back. When I was a kid, I was always baking. And I know a lot of people say that, like I was always baking, but literally one of my very first memories is me being like 3 or 4 years old at the coffee table with my mum and my auntie, and I'm whacking biscuits in a freezer bag. I'm whacking it with a rolling pin to make truffles, like chocolate truffles, you know, like the little, I guess everyone calls them rumbles. We call them truffles in my family, but we would make them every Christmas. I just remember me with this rolling pin just whacking them, and that's because we didn't have a food processor. Like that's how you used to do it back then. I got taught that from like an early age, and I was just always wanting to bake, wanting to help. I'm the oldest child. I just have that energy of like, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to try. I just have these memories of me being little. I'm like 4 or 5 years old, up at the kitchen bench on a chair because I obviously couldn't reach, and I'm making cupcakes with my mum. And yeah, I just have those memories from my childhood. I was always baking cupcakes for family birthdays, decorating them in cool ways. I remember doing Halloween cakes one year with my cousin, and we like made them look like scary, and we created like this whole party around these cakes and just silly things like that. And I've always done stuff like that. I've always made treats for people, especially around events like Christmas, birthdays, those sort of things has been when I really love to do it. Yeah, I guess that's always been in me naturally, but never really baking things like cookies or cakes from scratch. It's always been, we'd get like, you know, the box and you add the egg and the milk and whatever, and it's all like got the dry ingredients and you just mix it up and then it's done. So around May, June last year, we're going into winter, I'm getting like that cozy feeling, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try and challenge myself a little bit, and I'm gonna start making some treats from scratch. I started making like muffins and banana bread and cookies and things like that, and just taking them in for my team at work. They loved them. One of the girls that I worked with at the time, she has a cake business, and she said to me, these cookies are so good, like you could charge people money for them, you could sell them. And I was like, haha, very funny, that's so sweet of you, like bless you. I didn't think anything of it, nothing in my brain, and then nothing in my brain. And, just continued on trying different recipes, getting better at things, making things more my own. Like I was trying to follow recipes, but then I was like, I don't like how that works. And so I'd tweak things and change them and whatever. Made cookies just like every couple of weeks for the team, and I took them in again, and same girl, she was like, no, seriously, people will pay money for these. And I was like, oh my God, you're so sweet, like stop. She's like, no, seriously, I would buy these from you. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet, like thank you. So that's like May, June, July last year. Mid-August, I go in for surgery. So not to bore you with all of the details, but basically I have always had troubles breathing through my nose, so I had some things fixed up in my nose, and I had my tonsils out at the same time. Recovery is really painful, and so you have to be 10 to 14 days basically in bed. I had this surgery mid-August, and I am 2 weeks in bed, just spending 2 weeks watching TV and a lot of time on TikTok. So at this point, I think I'm about I was like maybe 9 days post-op or something like that. So I was feeling like really crap and I had low energy, but I would still have these like little spurts of like my brain was going, but I just couldn't physically do anything because I would be, tired, sore, whatever. So I'm having this idea, and if you know me, I get ideas and I want to act fast. And this is a whole other story, but just to give you an insight into like me, I want to act fast, but I procrastinate at the same time, and I drive myself into a state of frustration because I want to move, but I'm not moving, and I want to move and I'm not moving, and I want to move and I'm not moving. And this wasn't just because of the surgery, this is just something I do that I'm really trying to work on. But basically I was like, oh my God, this idea, I need to like, let's go with this. My fiance gets home from work and I say to him, I'm pretty sure this is how it goes, you've got to forgive me, remember I was on painkillers and post-op brain fog, but he comes home from work and I just say, I think I want to start a cookie business. And he just was sort of like, okay, sure. If you know Alex, he will just ride or die for my ideas. Sometimes he'll be like, are you sure you want to do that? But a lot of the time he's like, all right, well, do it then. Like, he doesn't really, he'll question me and still make sure I'm doing something for the right reasons, but he won't ever really be like, do you think you should do that? That seems risky, blah, blah, blah. He's not that sort of person. He's like, all right, let's go. Like, let's do it. Basically, that's where the idea for Montanna's was born. So this is late August by that point. I then spend the next month or so recipe testing like you wouldn't believe. It was like cookies every night. It was like cookies, cookies, cookies. I've obviously tried to get my own recipe exactly how I wanted it, because remember I said I'd been following other people's recipes and then just not really liking things, so tweaking my own way of things and trying to nail this recipe. So I had the flavor right, but I just couldn't figure out the cook time and temp to get that perfect consistency. I knew I wanted soft center, but I wanted it to still be that like sort of crispy, but not crunchy. I didn't want a biscuit. I knew I wanted it to be this soft center cookie. Spent ages. We were just I'm surprised I wasn't the size of a house, because it was like every night. It was like, turn the oven on, make the cookie, turn the oven on, make the cookie, turn the oven on, make the, anyway. So lots of recipe testing went on in that month. I wish I documented more of that because it was honestly chaotic. Like, there was sometimes I would bite into a cookie and just almost cry because I was like, it's wrong. It's wrong. Why can't we get this right? Like, it was just insane. Obviously I was, excited, but it was just getting to the point of like, why can't I get this right? I need to get this right. And at the same time I'm working on all of this, I'm working on the logistics of starting a business, the website, food registration, all of those things, right? So I have this idea late August and we launched the 3rd week of October. I think it was like the 21st or 22nd of October or something like that. We did 30 orders in our first week. It was insane. It was just mind-blowing. It was like this moment of, wow, I can do it. I'm someone who I've always really struggled to find my little place, like my little, I don't fit in here, I don't fit in there, I don't blah, 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 like just really like couldn't find my spot. And starting this business has just completely changed the way I view myself and the way I view the world. And I think it just really made me realize that holding myself back is not going to help me no matter what. Like, I know people say that and it's like that cliche thing of like, you don't want to die with regrets and la 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 la, and like, of course, but I think when you're actually in the motion of taking a risk and backing yourself and putting yourself out there is terrifying, and it can feel really like, is this going to pay off? Is this worth it? Is there any point? What are people going to say? All of those things. But when you're actually going after something that you really, really want, it's so exciting. It is so exciting. It is terrifying. And sometimes it will just challenge you in ways that you're like, why did I sign up for this? But the reward far outweighs the hard times, for me at least. I'm just so excited. We're starting the new business soon. We're in, like, obviously it's all in the works right now, and these two businesses are like the perfect example of how multifaceted I am. It's like two parts of my personality that go so well together, but also like complete opposite in a way. And I know that makes no sense right now, but yeah, I'm just really building this understanding of myself, and this passion in me is just burning more and more and more, and it's harder to sit still, and it's harder to be quiet, and it's harder to take on people's judgment, which is a good thing. But it's just getting to this point where I'm not getting in my own way. There's still things I need to work on, don't get me wrong, like my procrastination thing I mentioned, and oh my God, if I could work on just getting stuff done faster, be amazing. But it's not a self-doubt thing. It's not as much, what will people think? What will people say? Da, 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 da. They're like there, but they're not here. They're not affecting the right now. I'm just so freaking excited. I'm just having the best time. Some days are hard and I spend a lot of time going, is this the right thing? Should I be doing it this way? Could I be doing it better? Which I think is good. I think a little bit of constructive criticism for yourself is really good, self-reflection and all that jazz. But yeah, I'm just having a great time and I'm excited, and I want to show people that playing it safe is freaking boring. Playing it safe and like sticking to your comfort zone is like a one-way ticket to bored town. Honestly, it's like a snooze fest over there. I'm like, come on guys, what are we doing? But that is just basically every detail you could ask for of how I started Montanna, well, how I got the idea. It's not how I started, I guess, it's how the idea came to me. If I look back on that time, I could have gone one of two ways, right? If I let really practical logic come in, it would have said, you already work full time. You don't know how to run a business. You've never run a proper business before. I've done coaching before on the side. If you didn't know, I used to do mindset coaching, but it's a whole other thing for another day. But you've never run a product business. You know nothing about running a food business. You don't know what you're doing. And you don't even know if this could work. You don't even know what this working would look like. That's like the practical, logical questions that a lot of people would ask themselves. I sort of sat in that for a minute and was like, is this silly? Should I do this? Da, 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 da. Okay, what's the outcome of doing it? Potentially, I fail. I don't even know what that looks like really, because like, I started, if it didn't work, it didn't work. What have I lost? I lost a bit of money. Okay, sad. I can make more. I lost a bit of like confidence maybe. I felt a bit stupid. I felt a bit embarrassed. Yeah, those things could be hard if that had happened like that. It could still happen like that. I could still end up a bit embarrassed or whatever of how it goes. But those worst case scenarios are like, if that's as bad as it could possibly be, I'm like, okay, like, well, let's do it. If that's as bad as it could be, why wouldn't I just do it anyway and see what happens? And I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I started this, and I've definitely had moments where I was like, I'm quitting. It's time for me to stop. This is too much. What am I doing? This is silly. This is hard, blah, blah, blah. But I just think, what the hell? What have you got to lose, really? If there's something you want to do, unless the outcome of failing that is dying, do it. Like, if worst case scenario of that thing not working out is just, I'll be a bit embarrassed, I'll have felt like I failed a little bit, like, they're not things. That's not real. Like, those things are subjective. Failure is subjective in a lot of ways as well. What does failing even look like? For me, if something doesn't go the way I expected it to, it's usually because I had to learn something, and whatever I learned helped me with whatever's coming. So I don't really look at it as like, oh, that failed. Like, I know tangibly some things can fail, right? I know that, but if you're looking at it as like, oh, I failed and that's it. It's like, no, it's just a redirection to something else. I think that's where we're at. And I think I said this in a video the other day. I'm going to paraphrase myself, but failure is not an end point, it's a redirection. And when we start looking at it like that, I think whatever you do and whatever the outcome of those things is, you can't really go wrong, because whatever happens, it's pointing you the right way. That's it from me, guys. I hope this has been insightful in some way. If you're still here watching at this point, send me a DM. Tell me what you thought. Would you like me to shut up a bit more? I don't know. I appreciate you all, and remember to keep life a little sweet.